There are 3 distinct styles of Portland Design Works Powerstance kickstands. This one here is the 40mm bolt-on. It's 40 millimeters because the distance center to center between these holes is 40 millimeters. If you look at the frame and the holes are a little bit wider apart like this, you will know that that's 40. This is the 18. The 18 millimeter is quite a bit closer together. Again, looking at the frame, if they're very close together, then it's probably the 18 millimeter that you want. For bikes that don't have those special holes, we have this more typical center mount kickstand that mounts near the crankset of your bike, just behind the seat tube. Now I'm going to show you how to mount these kickstands. The bolt-on ones are pretty self-explanatory. For the 40mm version, the kickstand itself is threaded. You slide it behind the holes and tighten the bolts through the frame. Every frame is a little bit different, so you may need to get longer or shorter bolts from the hardware store if the included bolts don't work for your bike. For the 18mm version, the install is similar, but the kickstand mounts to the outside of the frame, and the bolts thread directly into the frame. So outside of the frame is where you want the 18mm kickstand, and inside of the frame is where you mount the 40mm kickstand. For the traditional kickstand that mounts near the seat tube, there are a couple ways to install it depending on your frame style. If you just have these tubes here, the seat stays, you'll want to use this top plate. But if you have a flat piece of metal with a hole in it welded between the 2 seat stays, then you can skip that top piece and just use the included Allen bolt to mount the kickstand directly to that plate. This bike doesn't have a plate welded onto the frame, so we're going to have to use this top plate. The first thing you want to do is put a lock washer on so that the bolt stays tight. I usually grease the threads on the bolt as well before installing. So you set it on top of your seat stays like this, and you're going to thread it directly onto the kickstand, but make sure that you don't pinch any of the little cables and things that are underneath your bike. Get the kickstand in approximately the position that you want it and hand tighten the bolt until it's snug. Now you can position the kickstand exactly where you want it before really tightening it down. It's good to move your crank arms around to make sure the kickstand is in a spot where it doesn't interfere with them. Now you're going to use a 14mm wrench to tighten this up. Get it nice and solid so that the kickstand can kick up and down without moving. All of the Powerstance kickstands have a button you can press to adjust the length depending on the height your bike sits off of the ground. If you have any questions about this or any other PDW product, please send us an email at info@ridepdw.com. Thanks for using our gear.